Thank you so much for the honor of being with you to celebrate what many thought was going to be impossible, and that was to get the U.S. Department of State to reverse its position on listing of the FTO and to delist the MEK. So we are here today to celebrate that. Why? Not only for the reasons that have just been said, because the MEK represents the most organized political organization that is opposed through democratic means to the ruling mullahs in Tehran. And it is important, if we are ultimately to get the support of the United States Congress and the rest of the world behind Madam Rajavi and the MEK, it's important that we first delist this horrible terror tag that has plagued the ability of the MEK to do what is in the interests not only of the people of Iran, but to do what is in the interest of all freedom-loving people, and that is to end the tyrannical theocracy that has been brutally repressing the people of Tehran. But there is another reason. There's another reason that we have to be mindful of today in thinking about why it is so important to have delisted the MEK. Because there are still members of the MEK in Iraq between Ashraf and Liberty who have known what it means to live under the threat of constant harassment and murder and killing. Because you see, when you have a label like a terrorist label, it gives the pretext and license of the Iraqi regime to be able to kill the people of Ashraf and Liberty with impunity, because the world community will just say, well, those are terrorists that they've killed. How can we blame them? Now that the label is over, it's time for Iraq and the United Nations to finally recognize the people of Ashraf and Liberty as human beings. And I want to join my colleagues in pleading with the Secretary General of the United Nations to remove Martin Kobler as the ambassador in charge of Liberty and Ashraf. Martin Kobler has been complicit in the harassment and persecution and terrorizing of the people of Ashraf and Liberty, and he continues to this day. Imagine a member of the United Nations getting in the middle of a business transaction between the people of Ashraf and a business agent who's trying to resolve the settlement of their personal assets, and only to be obstructed by the UN commissioner in charge of the resettlement of the people of Ashraf. Martin Kobler, what are you thinking? How could you be on the side of resettling the people of Ashraf and Liberty and yet be hindering the opportunity to let these people move on with their lives and find safe places where they can reside around the world? Martin Kobler, you must step down as the UN Commissioner. So I was honored at a previous event to quote my late uncle, President Kennedy, but to paraphrase President Kennedy when he spoke at the height of the Cold War about the plight of the people in Berlin. And I will say once again, Man Irani Hastam. I say that for the same reasons that my uncle uttered the words Ich bin ein Berliner. Because you see, this is not just an Iranian issue. This is an issue for all freedom-loving peoples, no matter where they live. Because in the words of Dr. King, injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. So long as the people of Syria are still under the brutal dictatorship of Assad, we are all Syrians today. I will conclude by saying you have here, from the United States and from around the world, people who represent all political parties. Just on this podium, you have Republicans, very hardcore Republicans, and you have hardcore Democrats. But we are part of the same campaign, believe it or not, because we share the same political platform. It's the same political platform that unites us as Americans. It's the same political platform that unites us with all of our friends from around the world. It's the platform of Madam Rajavi and the MEK, and that is the platform of democracy, rule of law, separation of church and state, women's rights, rule of law. And so, this is a political campaign that is stronger because of the fight for the delisting. And this is a political campaign that has all the necessary attributes to really bring change about in Iran. And so, as all of the previous speakers have stated, this is a time for all of the world to now join a political campaign from the grassroots to see a change in Iran, not through a military action, but through democratic action led and facilitated by the MEK and PMOI. So, my Uncle Robert Kennedy, at a time much like this, when no one ever thought they would see the future of a free South Africa, said, each time a person stands up or acts to improve the lot of others, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope. And coming from 1,000,000 centers of energy and daring, those ripples can create a current that can knock down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. That current today, my friends, is getting stronger than ever before, and it is going to be around to grow in strength. And I predict it won't be long before that current knocks down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance by the ruling mullahs in Tehran and brings about a free Iran. Thank you very much.